Good evening. I'd like to open the fourth meeting of fiscal year 2020 of the Milton Planning Board. I'm Cheryl Tagayas, the chair.
Denny Swenson, secretary.
Julia Getman, clerk.
William Clark, Planning Director.
Kathleen O'Donnell, member.
April Anderson, member.
Okay, so our next meeting dates are September 26th, October 10th, and October 24th. I will actually be out of the country on the 24th, so if everyone else is here, someone else can manage the chair position for that meeting, or we can think about a different date.
You want to reschedule? Are you going for the whole week?
I am leaving on the 23rd, and we'll visiting my daughter in Paris.
Yay.
Yay!
Bad thing to do.
Sleeping is that 138 quarter study meeting.
Yeah, so let's see. Yes, and I can't do it on the 23rd because that's when I'm leaving.
I could do
Hey, Rich.
Monday,
The
21st
21st?
or 28th. If
Yeah, 28th I'm away.
Okay.
Hey, Rich. Sorry, late. No problem. So why don't we see what it looks like our agenda's going to look like and
Yeah.
see how busy it is,
And the
and we can
17th
decide.
works. I don't know
Yeah.
for me. I don't know if it works for anybody else.
Okay, so I just
And if
wanted
it's not a
to,
busy agenda, we could try to do extra on the 10th and a little extra 3 weeks later.
so, yeah, because it depends, if we do submit articles, they're due on the 11th.
Oh.
And so, of October
Oh,
for the
oh.
January town meeting. And so we would need to be scheduling public hearings.
Well, the 10th of October, actually, I have a meeting in Boston and something at 5:30.
So we just
So
look
I'll
at
be
back to
here late
September
on the 10th of October.
26. We could look at the 17th, I suppose. And try and do two in a row
That works
and
for me.
2 weeks in a row.
see.
Okay,
So we
so,
wouldn't meet the rest of the
I'm
month.
sorry.
Right, we wouldn't.
I have some.
What were they?
Oh, no, I can do it. I can do
instead of the
Looking at October
24th?
24th, Cheryl's going to be out of the country, so we're trying to find a time maybe.
October 24th
week before.
or September?
October
Oh, October
24th.
24th. Oh, okay.
And unlike you, Kathleen, calling in the middle of the night.
I don't recommend, besides the fact, it's
wouldn't
expensive.
share
You
it.
should see my AT&T bill.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Reversible expense. All right, so possibly the 17th.
Did you say that works for you, Denny, or it doesn't?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Rich, would
Does it
that work for you?
Rich?
October
You said the 17th?
Yeah.
Of October instead of the 24th? It would put us at 2 meetings in a row. We can decide that
Yeah.
at our next meeting,
Yeah,
but let's
okay.
just pencil it in, I suppose.
17th is
does it?
fine with me. The only thing I'm texting my wife, she's going away for a night, so if when she's away, I can't obviously be here late, and I think that's the 10th.
You think it's the 10th, okay.
But,
And Kathleen might
I'll
have
know
a
in a
problem
couple
with the 10th.
I'll just be late.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to put Rich as a question on the 10th and
Yeah.
Kathleen is late on the 10th, okay.
oh, never mind, she was the 8th and 9th, so.
All right.
Shows how I listen.
See, what would we do if we didn't have text messages?
That's right.
Emailed it to you upstairs.
All right, so why don't we confirm that at our next meeting?
Okay.
Okay, but let's
Okay.
pencil that in?
So, and plan on not meeting on the 24th?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Then, next on is meeting minutes. I made some edits today, so I don't know if everyone got those, and got a chance to look at them. If not, we can defer it.
I can read the amendments quickly, but if I'm the only one who hasn't had a chance, I was ready to approve without the amendments, so I can do it quickly.
Yeah, I did quickly glance over, but I'll just take it one more quickly because I saw everything.
Okay.
But I did it fast.
I put mine in already.
For
And she
these
made the
minutes.
change.
I'm sorry?
And she made the change that,
Oh,
Joey
right,
made the
okay.
change that I asked for.
Okay. And so while those are being reviewed, before we reopen the public hearing, on old business, the Wentworth Farm lot release,
Yep.
Bill?
Yes. I got a email from John Thompson.
This is what I was in Toronto.
Of course, I didn't give it to you. I got a release from John Thompson saying that he was good with it.
Yeah, he sent an email, you sent that email.
I sent the
Send that
email out.
email, right. And,
Here it is. I've reviewed the materials and agree with the cost estimate for the remaining work. Please let me know if you need anything else. And then I attached the two forms, one of $226,047 is what it would cost. The lot is worth more than that. One of them just sold for 4 times that.
okay, so we had discussed this. We said we couldn't take action at our last meeting because it wasn't on the agenda. And we were waiting for that confirmation from John Thompson.
Yes,
So you need a vote on that, Bill?
yes.
Okay, so if everyone's in agreement on that, or if any, does anyone have questions about that first? About the release of the lot which was being held?
He put up 2 lots.
Yeah.
We said 1, he said, I'll do you one better, I'll give you 2. Now
That was basically put up as a bond.
yes. And this is in place of, and he agrees that there'll be a cash bond or something coming soon.
And it's customary, once a certain level of work is complete, town engineer
Yes.
confirms that we release a portion of the bond.
We've done that twice with Marine Way.
Right. Okay, so does everybody understand what we're being, oh, yes, Marion? Thank you.
I think that's great that you're willing to approve the release of the lot, and I know that the owner will be very happy about that. This is a recorded lot restriction. It is not a bond, and so you have to record
Yep, a release.
a document releasing one of the lots. And there's probably a form that the town likes to use. I haven't provided anything as yet. So you could, if you wish, authorize the clerk, your town planner, to sign on behalf of the town. Maybe, I mean, I'm not sure about that. Maybe the whole planning board has to sign it. But in any case, there
I
does
just
have to be.
don't know whether the registry will take it.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever you have to do, you're meeting fairly soon. So I just wanted to say that if I can help prepare that document, I'd be happy to. Maybe there's a form that you use, but there does need to be a recorded document.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Marion. Bill, are you aware of a form?
I am looking to see if we have it.
Okay, so we could still have a motion to approve it and,
Yes.
if need be, sign a form at our next meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
What would the motion be? Is there something?
Bill, do you have language for what the motion would be? Would it be to, go ahead. Yes?
I have it. And it actually is, come on. It reads, by the planning board, town planner, duly authorized designee. And I am the designee at the registry of deeds for
Okay.
the planning board.
Okay.
Great.
And I just have to have it notarized, which I can get from Christine in the selectman's office.
All right, so the motion is, Kathleen?
So,
Looking to the attorney at the table.
I'll read you what the form says. Planning Board of Milton, Massachusetts hereby certifies that the following lot owned by, it's Socia Family Trust.
Stoya Family
Family
Irrevocable Trust, and requesting the release of Lot 1. So we need to have a motion by the planning board to vote to authorize Mr. Clark to sign a release of the covenant on Lot 1 at Wentworth Farms, currently owned by the Stoya Family Irrevocable Trust.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you. All right, just quickly on the minutes, any question or concern about approving these minutes tonight?
No.
Okay, if not, then I'll take a motion
Motion to approve the minutes of August 22nd, 2019,
as amended.
as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So now we will open the Thayer Nursery special permit renewal public hearing continued from August 22nd. As we said then, the only thing that we were keeping this public hearing open for was to receive town council comments. So we've received town council's comments via a revised draft decision. So does everybody have that?
Yes.
Okay. So town council basically wanted to make this as clean and clear as possible to be a renewal decision and not to be a renewal and amendment decision. So the language is specific to renewal and accounting for the fact that with the renewal, the board can impose additional conditions that weren't in the original special permit. Okay, so I think there's been opportunity for all of us to have questions answered by town council Kevin Freitag, who initially was not available to come tonight. At the last minute had changed his plans, said he could come if we needed him. Bill and I discussed it and didn't think it was necessary. So if we would like, because maybe where we were was a little bit different from where we were last time, we can go through this and just talk about it a little bit so that it's the public can see what's in this via our discussion.
Do we need to officially close the public hearing now?
Yes, actually. Good point. So, if we're ready, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Do you want to make
I move to officially close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Campaign.
All right, thanks,
It's like the
April, for the
emojis.
reminder.
Confetti.
So the way this is organized, as I said, was a purely renewal. So there's the background of when the special permit was granted, which was on July 14th of 2016, with an amendment on February 26th of 2019 that had to do with the lots. This application came to us on May 15th of this year, and there were supporting documents that were provided to us at a number of our meetings. So those documents are incorporated into the decision, as well as all of the documents and conditions from the original special permit. So in addition to those things then, we have terms and conditions that we can discuss and see where we think we are with those. So the first is the reports, giving a date for when reports that are required in the special permit, giving a date for when they'd be due, and we have in here January 1st. Any questions or discussion about that? Okay. The second portion, the second item, we've received some emails about. So, an email from the building commissioner and from the town engineer. So this is adding a condition that the town engineer perform a minimum of one annual inspection of the complete stormwater system. Joe Prondak has advised that he does that already. He sent us a fairly detailed email about that. John Thompson sent us an email saying he does not support this provision, along the same lines that Rich has expressed previously.
Yep.
And so we have to decide whether we want to amend this, strike it.
So the options are strike it or amend it to the town building inspector,
Building commissioner, yeah.
building commissioner?
Yeah.
Let's do
One or
that.
the other.
Let's do building commissioner.
And he's comfortable with that because he's already the
Already
Been
enforcement
doing it
officer.
anyway.
Does that resolve it for you?
I don't think it's needed. If he's doing it already, I don't know why it needs to be in the actual,
One of the things is that, he's the building commissioner currently.
Yeah.
But if the language isn't explicit, a commissioner might interpret the language a little differently. So that's one thing. The other thing is town council said to me that the town engineer already has requirements in this special permit in terms of being required to receive and review reports. So his view was it's up to the board to decide whether we want to keep it at this language or change it. One of the things that Joe Prondak, I think you'll recall when he came to us, was being more explicit he felt was better than less explicit, because if he has to interpret language, it's different than if it's specific. So I think, given those things, I support what April has suggested, which is to change it to the building commissioner from the town engineer, but to keep it as a requirement that's more explicit.
Oh, so-
Yes.
I'll just say, so, I mean, I said this before, but I mean, I thought I had heard before, sorry, I just got off a plane. I'm tired. It doesn't make sense to me, and the way I was listening to Joe come in, or I forget who said this, but it's like, my feeling was that it's built to spec, it's looked at, it's verified, these things are supposed to last so many years. I feel like every single year verifying it afterwards is a little
Overkill.
excessive. You know, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, are we going to start doing that on every single time we put a project in that's similar to this? Is that we're going to ask the building engineer or the commissioner, hey, you know, it's per spec, but you should go look at it every single year to make sure that nothing's faltered. I mean, there's an avenue for somebody to come in, like a neighbor, to say, hey, something's going on with it, it doesn't look right, a tree fell on it, broke it, something happened. There's absolutely an avenue for somebody to come back in, make that point, and to have Joe to go back out there and say it needs to be fixed. I just don't think it necessary to say we must go out there every single year to check on something that was just put in. And it's built with, I mean, you said it last time, these things are built per spec, not to the minimum. They build them, I'm paraphrasing, but it built a little over, so if something degrades, you still got a system. So I just think it's a little overkill. My worry here, and let's be honest, I guess the reason why I'm saying this is it could get very subjective. Hey, something has happened and I don't like it, so go spend money and fix it, when maybe it didn't degrade or really, you know, need to be fixed. Just, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this could turn into something that needs to be fixed every single year, or hey, you need to clean it every single year or something. I just worry about how excessive this could get.
Okay, yes, Bill?
The permit itself actually says that there is a letter sent in
Annual report.
annual. So
Great.
that's by the engineer, and he stamps it.
Great. Then why
And
do you need
the-
something extra?
Is it what?
Then why do you need something extra in here?
And that's why the town engineer said he relies on the stamp of the person who sent the report in.
Then there you go.
That's why he didn't feel he needed to do it. He said, also, we have these things all over town. This isn't the only place that has one.
Right.
All these other ones connect into the system, and he doesn't have to go and check those. Why are we making him do it now?
Yeah, so I feel like he's saying I don't want to do it, not because he just doesn't want to do it, he wants somebody else to do it. I feel like, and I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like he's saying I don't want to do it because it doesn't need to be done. Is that the case?
That's a better paraphrasing. I'm not sure that he's not saying, I don't want to do it.
Right.
I think he's saying, I don't need to do it because
Okay,
I
thank
rely
you.
on that guy's stamp.
Right.
And if that guy is putting a stamp on there,
So
that's
the,
worth more than,
Right.
the
somebody-
property
yeah.
owner has to have it inspected annually already and submit a report to the town.
yes.
All right, then I'm in favor of removing it too.
Thank you, Bill. Made it easier.
I just want to make sure. He does say, I think it is entirely appropriate to require the applicant to have the system inspected by a neutral third-party registered professional engineer who would certify to the town that the system is in good working order, functioning as intended.
Which is what we'll know when they submit their reports, right?
Right.
And that part of the original permit is going to be upheld.
That's not
That's not
third
third
party.
party, that's
Yeah.
their.
Oh, it's not
their-
It says an
Party.
annual report shall be, doesn't say by whom.
It's
It's an
by their
engineer.
engineer.
Engineer that
Yeah.
stamps
It's certified.
So,
They stamp
Yeah.
it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have stormwater systems put in elsewhere and we
You're,
don't
you're
require them
taking
to be.
Joe's comments.
No, that's from John Thompson.
And then they went
Email.
back and they talked about it and they came back with,
This is from Monday the 9th, from John Thompson's email.
If it was
If
this was a very first time special permit, but where's a permit renewal, I want to fall back on the way we treat other businesses like their business. And other developments
Yeah.
like theirs. And if we can't afford to do this for everyone, then we
Shouldn't
really.
apply here.
And if it's already being looked at by an engineer, I don't know why we need one of our town resources to spend their time checking something that's already been checked.
I agree.
Okay.
So
All right, sounds like the consensus is to strike it. Is that
Bill,
right?
can you pull, do you have this in Word?
He does, right? Bill, are you having trouble technology-wise? You were going to pull it up, right?
Just a second. Right there. Second, number 2.
While Cheryl's looking for that, there was a small point that I wanted to say, that I wanted to thank Mr. Joe Henning and Mr. Rowe for their invitation to their property. I had wanted to go, and I was actually planning to go, but I had asked town council prior to going over, and I had missed my window of opportunity because the public hearing had been closed at the point where I asked. But the 3 things that I would have been observing, looking at the wall, looking at the landscape, and listening for any noise from their vantage point, all fall under enforcement. So that was another reason that the town council suggested that I not go. But I did want to thank them for their invitation, and normally I would have gotten over there, but I missed the deadline.
Thanks, Denny. Okay.
No, we fixed it.
Just when you just pulled it up?
Oh, one.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Oh, this
That's
one is
even
not.
easier.
Get rid of that one. This one's fixed. Okay, so
Okay, 2.
we're going to strike
Yep.
that one. So I'm just going to, I'm going to refer to the original special permit because these terms refer back to them. But just quickly to go back to number 1, that's referring to the stormwater operation and maintenance plan being due on January 1st. And then on number 3, it is referring to the interim stormwater report, that being due October 15th of this year, because there were 2 required. One
Right.
has been submitted.
12 months
I
and
see.
24
Okay.
months.
So I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify those dates here.
Yep.
Okay, so then number 4. D04, sorry, give me 1 second. E3 is related to the materials. So, adding some language, which hopefully can be seen. Bill, can you just put the cursor on it because it's kind of just light gray on there and it's not really showing up that well. This is the language related to allowing the building commissioner to make a judgment about a equivalent material, and then the language of comparison of specifications for the original materials with those for the replacement materials, okay? So those are, again, things we talked about. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. Then E3B, this again has related, because
About the
the
trees.
originals was trees. This is being clear about survival of the trees now,
And
okay?
planting in the planting season and not
Right.
in the dead of winter. Or we
Right.
know they'll die.
Okay, so we're good with this language?
Yes.
Everyone? Okay. Number 7 has to do with the fact that the special permit only addressed having lighting be shielded.
I just want to check on that. Is the last one about the E3B?
It's 4KI, so I'm going to,
Oh, okay, got it. Just want to make sure it
4K.
was in the right place. That's all right. Go ahead.
I'll just go there, 1 second. Always
Yep,
easy
I
to
see
find
it.
these, yeah. But it says,
Yep, I see
yeah.
it. That-
So
that
light
makes-
levels shall be kept as low as reasonably practical. Existing lighting that is not so shielded must be turned off at all times, right?
Yeah,
But it has to do with having it all be shielded and allowing them to just not have it on if it's not shielded, right? Okay? Question or concern about that? Okay. Next, had to do with Mr. Prondak request to have gross vehicle weight added to the vehicles. We've been provided with those weights. So that's number 8. So that was just the only change there. Any concern about that?
nope,
There's another one. We had some discussion about whether, yes,
On number 8, that last sentence should say without consent of the planning board. No additional vehicles may be leased, rented, or purchased.
let me go back to the
Does
original.
this just imply that if
4N.
this needs to be adjusted, they would have to come back? What if there's some
Oh,
reason?
they work it out with the building commissioner, don't they? They only come to us if there's a problem.
I don't know, that last sentence seems very absolute.
Well, it does say that in the original.
Oh, you're right.
The original has that sentence, that exact sentence. The only thing that was changed here is the words that were underlined, gross vehicle weight were added. Everything else is
Yeah.
the exact
I think it
language.
comes
Oh,
from right
okay.
here.
yeah.
Vehicles may be replaced on a vehicle-by-vehicle basis with vehicles that are similar in gross
Yeah.
vehicle weight.
Oh, no, I understand that, but I'm
just
just
those
saying
three
that
words are
language is
added.
In the original permit.
5-year time, things may change, and they may need to rent or lease some other kind of vehicle, and shouldn't we give them an ability to at least request it?
That would be an amendment.
Yeah,
And
So that would
this
just
is-
be implied, and they would just come back. and
If
ask
they,
to
come
if
back
they
for
if
an
they
Okay,
want
that's
to
fine,
amend
that's
it, they'd
fine.
have to
Yep.
come back with an amendment
Right.
request.
Okay,
yeah.
But the gross vehicle weight.
the
we
only
could-
thing we added
It's the
in
only
there.
thing we
Perfect.
added to this, okay? Okay, number 9. Again, the words that are underlined are what have been added. Again, Joe Prondak spoke to us
Yeah.
about this.
yep, looks fine to me.
Yep,
Any question? No? Okay, good. Number 10. Sorry, let me go
that's
back
the
here.
same kind of language to allow for replacement of other materials.
Correct.
If this sport floor goes out of business.
Correct. Again, underline changes. Changes are underlined. Any concern or questions about that?
No,
No,
Number 11. Adding this to the snow removal section. That which says right now, an affidavit attesting to the level of snow and ice removal activities in 2012 is attached as Exhibit F. So this is saying that they have to submit,
when they do,
When they do
it,
the
they
work.
didn't in the last, we
Right.
had testimony that they didn't do snow removal stuff last year. So, Kevin and I worked on that
Right.
language a little bit just to try to clear it up, but only if they do it, do they have to provide a report, and it just provides a date.
Great. And then site plan approval, because the special permit is tied to the site plan approval, we also are granting a renewal of that, which is a question I had for Kevin, because I've never seen us grant a renewal on a site plan approval.
Right.
But because they're tied together, his opinion was that they needed to be tied together in the renewal. This document has been reviewed by Sayers Council, and I understand that they have found this to be acceptable, or they don't have concerns,
Sorry. to
questions
interrupt.
about it, yes?
The other thing we're changing too is the years, right?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
At WIP, it's at the top of the second page. 5 years, wasn't it?
I jumped right over it.
Renewing it.
Yeah, I just wanted to call it out because that is a change.
Thank you.
right?
It is a decision we have to make, right?
Oh, for the
So,
number of
yeah,
years,
The number
yes.
of years.
I'm
We
I'm
talked
fine
ab-
with it, I just wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
talked about it.
Is everybody fine with the 5 years?
Yes.
I am.
Yes, okay.
Wow, unanimous.
But you brought up a comment in email.
About the truck
Yes.
being parked, but I thought we had talked about that and said,
Yeah,
We weren't
Mr.
gonna do it.
Freitag got back to me and said
Yeah.
it was out of scope. So he
Oh.
recommended we not.
He felt that it's an amendment, and we needed to treat this purely as a renewal because the application came in purely as a renewal.
Then
The
they would have
amendment
to,
would have to come,
Come
or
back
a
for
request for an amendment would have to come back for that.
and that would be exclusively
Yeah.
to purchase, to park the car. so,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Um,
that was a good catch, Denny. Wow.
So, any
Did your
other,
comments get adopted? Okay.
any other thoughts about this?
Nope.
All right, and if not, then I'll take a motion.
I would move to vote on the renewal of the special permit for landscaping business use and site plan approval for 270 Hillside Street and 0 and 24 Forest Street, currently owned by the Oldfield Family LLC.
A second.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Unanimous? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have signature pages here. Oh,
Oh,
and I,
She-
does somebody have a
she
blue
get the
pen?
right one?
I
It
have a
says
black
Denny as secretary, right? That's the correct one?
I'd like to thank all the people that showed up to comment on this
Yes.
renewal. We
Yes.
really appreciate that. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your interest.
And your patience and
Engagement.
perseverance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many pages do we have here, Bill?
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, good night. All right, I'll go this way first.
Okay.
April, pass your pen around?
Sure thing.
Okay, thanks.
I have another.
Just don't forget to return it. Those are my favorite pens. I loaned it to someone at middle school open house last night and had to track them down.
Nice.
Get it back.
Goodness.
They are my favorites too, so.
It's the last one in the pack.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get some of these.
Aren't they the
It's nice
best?
when you have a full pack. I have just bought a full pack.
Well, I keep them on my desk. My kids rate them.
Yeah.
So I go in, there's no pens left. It's like I need a security alert system on my desk.
Yeah.
All right, while we're signing those, we'll go ahead and get started, if you don't mind, on the new business, the A&R for 6264 Dyer Ave. Hello, Mr. Corcoran.
We haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you? How's everybody?
Don't you make him take this back with him?
I know, what are we gonna do?
We actually have been asked to take that back.
But your car wasn't big
And
enough,
Jack's
is that
asking me to take it home with me, I bet.
And we are, I was actually in an all-hands meeting 2 days ago, and the issue of taking that back came up. And they're certainly anxious to get it and put it in their model unit
Yeah.
at some point, so that it becomes, you know, as you go around the site, you can actually see where you're.
Well, I'm glad it has a second life.
Yeah.
Reuse, repurpose, recycle.
That's right.
There you go.
And,
right.
Just was going to see it on eBay.
It'll last for about 4 or 5 years, given what we think is the pace. Actually, on that, they just did get their permit from MassDOT to install sewer
Thank you.
within Route 138 and Brush Hill Road, so that work will start imminently. And they'll
right.
move to cut the wall, start the installation of utilities road. They have to create the runway, as it were, for the carriage barn to move from its current location over to the Walker property. So there'll be activity happening fairly quickly now that they closed on the purchase of the second lot and everything is ready to go. So-
Good news?
Yeah. So thank you. I'm here on behalf of Olga Morris, who is the owner of 2 dwellings on a lot known as 62 and 64 Dyer Avenue. This is a unusual, rare application of the A&R process. It's the first time I've done it. It was actually suggested to me by Joe Prondak as a means by which to divide a lot. There's a specific reference in General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81L, and the definition of subdivision. I provided that in the package that I submitted, but essentially says that if is a lot that pre-existed the town's adoption of the subdivision control law, and on that lot there were two buildings, then as of right, the property can be divided. There's no minimum lot size associated with the division. It doesn't require frontage. It simply means that there were two lots. There is a case involved in the city of Braintree where the appeals court determined that and said that if you have, in that case, it was a commercial piece of property, but it made specific reference to a lot had a second dwelling built in the rear of a residential unit, that lot could be divided. The alternative legally is to create a condominium, and you could create separately owned buildings as a condominium. It's actually more appropriate, I think, to sever the lots, and so there's clearly separate ownership with easements necessary to allow access from the roadway to the rear lot. But that way, each party is responsible completely for the maintenance of its own property and doesn't have to rely on the other in cooperation under condominium regime to participate in costs. I gave you a history of the property. This is a series of plans. It was originally, Dyer Avenue was laid out in 1876. Highlighted two lots, 18 and 19, on that plan. In 1931, you can see highlighted in yellow on the 1876, the two lots. Lot 19, which is the lot on the right, was actually subdivided or divided into what's known as part of Lot 19, 5,500 square feet. It became its own lot, and the balance was retained by the owner of Lot 18. The property had been owned by the owner of both Lot 18 and Lot 19. There were separate dwellings on 18 and 19. They carved out a 5,500 square foot parcel. That was conveyed separately, and the balance was retained. There was a further plan that was created in 1953 that shows the existence of, it purported to create two lots, Lot A and Lot B, each one approximately 7,500 square feet. There was a dwelling in the rear, that's number 62. There's a dwelling in the front, that's number 64. Over time, but those lots have never been severed by conveyance. Neither lot was conveyed out previously, so they have sort of held their own identity as two dwellings, separate addresses on a single lot. Over time, particularly the dwelling in the rear, number 62, has been improved and added to, and such that number 62 now encroaches onto that old line that divided the two lots. And so this plan would redivide that lot, creating better setbacks, or creating setbacks for the dwelling at 62. And the lot line, we think, logically follows an existing fence line, which is noted as a vinyl stockade fence on the plan. And so, the other thing is, you can see in the 1953 plan, there was a right-of-way that sort of angled across both properties. The neighbors don't necessarily get along here. They don't agree with each other as to when and how they would use that right-of-way. The owner of what would be 66 has actually requested permission to install a fence between the two pieces of property. And so
Down the middle of the current driveway?
we go down the middle of the current driveway. Although they go down the middle of the right-of-way, the driveway itself is actually is wider on both sides. There's plenty of driveway, and in fact, there's driveway on each side of 64. It comes in from the left and wraps around to a parking area in the rear, and then it comes up on the right-hand side. But by this It was interesting that that in the deed that sold number 66 out, the owners of 18, remainder of 19, retained for the benefit of their heirs, not for their successors and assigns, the right-of-way to use the driveway. But apparently, purported, that was gone when the property was conveyed to someone other than their heirs. And in fact, a more recent owner of that 66 filed a document that said declaimed any right of someone, a new owner, to claim an easement by prescription. So this plan relocates the right-of-way onto this property, so it's clear that there's the right of passage from Dyer Avenue to the rear building, number 62. And when one or either of the lots is conveyed, it will be conveyed with the benefit or the burden of an easement to provide access to the rear. And so.
So right now, this is under common ownership, right?
It's common ownership, owned, there are separately described parcels on a it's actually one described parcel on a separate deed, on a single deed that was owned by Ms. Olga Morris. The last deed recorded was 2006.
And Bill and I spoke, he spoke to Town Council Kevin Freitag.
Did.
And you want to tell us what Kevin thought about that?
Because this is filed as an 81L, and it predates zoning, the second house was built in 1937, and our zoning is 1938. We didn't do subdivision control law until 1966, and this has been here since well before 1937.
And this citation, or that Ned gave us in terms of the law, Kevin agrees with,
He
right?
does. Yep.
Okay,
As do I.
as does Kathleen, okay,
I've done this before,
okay.
so.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. I didn't realize we had something like this in
I didn't
Milton.
either.
It's like,
I've never done an A&R where you didn't have frontage
Well, that's what I
or
was
the
gonna say,
square
yeah.
footage, so why is it an A&R? This is very unique.
I hadn't either. I actually went to see Joe to talk about condominium, and he said, have you heard of, there is a provision in 81L, and I went
Joe
and
Prondak? Good.
went and looked at it, and
You have copies of the A&R
right here,
Yeah.
so in front of us.
in your, in the black binder that you all have.
Well, you
But
gave
you
it to us
also,
too in the packet. That was
it's also in
helpful.
the packet, right?
And highlighted the
Right.
section that applies. Last page.
Right.
There's a couple of other,
In the packet, if you have that stacked in front of you
See,
there.
The stack, okay.
Yeah.
This one that he sent us.
several other 81 with the letter that are much more complicated than these ones, but
subdivision control law starts at 81L, I think, and it starts with the definitions, and then it moves into all of the other things that you have to do for a formal subdivision.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just a separate way, a separate provision of how you can do an A and R
yes,
outside of the way we've normally been seeing them.
yes.
Okay. And you have experience with these, Kathleen?
Yes, as former town council, not for Milton, but for other towns. And also the city of Boston, I've done a couple of them there too, but that's not under 40A, obviously. But yeah, it's sort
And
of
you're
a.
familiar with the case, are you familiar with the case that Ned cited? What was it? Case
Green
his
Tree?
name?
Yeah, I think, yeah,
It's,
I've read it a while ago.
So the thinking is that this should be grandfathered in?
Well, because what you want to have, you encourage, real estate to be owned, you don't want two houses owned by somebody. It's sort of better value to have two separate lots. It makes life a lot easier in terms of organization. And the days of sort of having family compounds and that sort of thing have sort of gone by the wayside. And so it's really just a way to sort of regularize a situation that's been in existence for quite some time. You've got, sort of two freestanding houses. And, doing a condo, it would be another way to do it, but, the statute, 881L, doesn't require you to go through all that trouble. I mean, with a condo, you'd have to be doing condo plans, you do have to have a master deed,
Association.
Condo association. We've already talked about the fact that 2-unit condo associations are not good, and so it's just a lot simpler to do it this situation. If you can get away with, if you can meet the statutory requirements, it's a lot easier.
So what's our checklist in a situation like this?
We don't have one, it's an A&R.
No, but like
We're not
normally,
really-
when we look at an A&R, we usually look at the things that you have to meet in order to be considered. I guess this is just purely the fact that they existed before the subdivision control law
So that would be your
was
checklist,
adopted.
is what's the, how long have they been there? When was our subdivision control law adopted? So you're before or after, that would be the first item. Second one, my question when I looked at it was to see, to make sure that there was an actual right of access. But there is law that says in Massachusetts that says that you can't create, a landlocked lot. So there's an easement by necessity, even if you don't state it. Massachusetts prohibits you from creating a lot that you can only bungee jump into. So that, so I checked to see whether or not there was a right of way, that sort of.
The other is to
Life
check the
easier.
date of the existing second home.
Dwelling,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this one was built before 1938, so it's before our zoning.
So number 62 was built in 37, number 64?
Well,
Is
according,
older.
64
according
was
to
built
the,
in like
according to the
18
assessor's records, 62 was built in 1900, and 64 was built in 1920. And I provided, that's the information I got from the
Yeah.
assessor's office.
There was a structure, but it became a home in 37. I
Okay.
found the forms.
I see. Okay.
And they're clearly shown as existing as of the plan in 1953.
Yeah.
There was a case, Citgo Petroleum Corporation versus the Planning Board of Braintree, where the planning board denied an A&R plan, it was appealed, went to the appeals court, and the court said, no, this is a clear, the timing of the addition of the language that dealt with this provision was clear, and it was intended to apply to this provision. It wasn't sort of an unintentional add-on to the language. It was a late add to the language of the definition of subdivision. It was clearly intended to protect or to this type of condition and authorize the creation of lots. And there's language in a footnote in that case that said, nevertheless, this provision clearly would apply to the not uncommon situation where a house was built in the backyard of another house with no street frontage.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
All right, then, would anyone like to make a motion?
I just wanted to understand, so this quitclaim deed, do you check that the driveway that's a legal driveway, that right of way is legal?
Yeah, I took a look just to make sure that there was, there was a right-of-way and they're sort of creating one. So when the properties get sold, which they're not now, they're, right now, all it is just a plan. So when and if the properties are then divided and one of them is sold, there would need to be an easement in that deed.
How do they get there now?
There's
There's a
a
paved driveway.
paved driveway.
Oh, there's a paid driveway.
There is
Okay.
a paved
Yeah.
driveway, but
But it's all owned by the same people.
Oh, right, okay,
You can't you can't give an easement to yourself,
right,
like you can't give a deed to yourself,
right.
so.
I presume that one of the houses is rented out?
Yes. One of them's actually a two-family and one's a one-family.
More complications, I shouldn't have even asked.
So when somebody's gonna buy this, they're clearly not gonna be writing a big check without making sure that they can
Right,
get an easement to use it, so.
okay.
Okay.
Sounds like we're
If
done.
there are- If there's no more comment or question, then would someone like to make a motion?
I would move to approve the plan of land 62-64 Dyer Avenue in Milton, Mass. Entitled Proposed Division, prepared for Olga Maurice, dated August 2nd, 2019.
Do you want to authorize the town planner
To,
to endorse the plan as not requiring subdivision approval?
sure.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always nice to get something new and different.
This one, when I reviewed it, it was like, oh,
I can imagine what it must have looked like when it came in. I know that
Yeah.
Kathleen
I
has
read
seen
through it like 5 times. I was like, what does he want us to do? There's no frontage. I did the same thing as you, Diane. Where's the checklist?
Well, as I said, I looked at the title, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, that
Yeah.
was only to the heirs, not the successors and assigns.
Yeah, that's
You did
weird, huh?
adjust the plan
Yeah.
accordingly.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
all right, thank you, Ned.
All right, have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too. Okay, so,
Oh, we forgot to do citizen speak.
oh, nuts. Sorry, everyone. Mary, did you want to speak to Citizen Speak?
Thought we'd
All
ask.
right. I'm sorry about
Sure, it's
that.
good
I thought you mentioned it.
I thought you did too. I saw it
I
on the
wasn't here, so
agenda.
my question
Yeah,
was,
yeah, I
was it
think you
here?
did.
Well, I was going to ask, though.
Yeah.
Well, I usually
didn't
try
check
to
it off.
manage it such that we can get to the hearing relatively close to on time,
Right.
so
Yeah.
my eyes look around, so sometimes I miss it, so I'm
So
sorry
I
about that.
I
Oh.
didn't check it off on my little list, which is my MO, but I
Yeah.
also thought I heard you say it, so.
Probably did.
All right, so now we can check that off.
Yep.
The future planning efforts, we had thought that perhaps we would have Judy Barrett's proposal today. She let Bill know today that she won't have it to him until Monday.
Okay.
So we'll put that on the agenda
Check that one off too.
next. And then also,
Flying.
Good.
just so you know also, the Master Plan Implementation Committee has discussed the possibility of engaging a planner to assist with planning for this area. Because the fire station building committee is advancing the design of the central fire station, the Master Plan Implementation Committee's been concerned that all users in this area, so including the churches with the daycare centers, the new youth center that's opening in the church on this side, all their schedules and needs can be considered so that one use isn't advanced without consideration of all the others. So there's been a hope that a certain amount of that can be done through the consultants working on the central station. And so there's a couple of meetings, I think, coming up to that effect. But there might be a request coming to use some funds to engage with a planner. Okay, so that's just a heads up under that item. Okay. Bill, did you want to add anything to that?
For the 26th?
No, just this topic of the future
Planners.
planning efforts. That's it, right? We're done with that. Okay. So that leaves the zoning articles and the rules and regs. So
Yeah.
the zoning articles that we talked about last time, having for the January special town meeting would be the wetlands regulation.
That one's in your packet?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Oh, it's in my packet.
It's pretty easy.
It
It's
strikes the whole
Just
section.
strikes it, yeah.
very
Perfect.
small.
And the reason we're doing this is because the state,
You already got wetlands protection action, it
Yeah.
doesn't happen under our,
right, okay.
It's under chapter
So-
15 of the general
Yeah.
bylaws.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Zoning.
In our pack, this is, you'll
Wetlands
recall,
bylaws, chapter
is
15.
making a correction.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're
it's really
we're
just- there's a
reflecting, we're
mistake.
updating, no, it's not a mistake.
Okay,
It
it's
was
just
that in the
update.
olden days, that's where it happened, but
Now
after the
it's-
wetlands
yeah.
protection regulations came in, It got
Somebody else
pulled
is in
from the
charge.
planning board and got somebody else.
So this was what was given to us this evening, the
Yeah.
packet that was,
I
it should
saw it.
probably be right in what you got in your
Oh, right
file
here.
tonight.
Yep, it's on
Underneath
page
there,
two.
maybe, yeah.
So, just for the public, Mary, so we're going through the rules and regulations and we're tweaking. We're going for low-hanging fruit, right?
Well, no.
This
is
one's a
separate.
zoning
Oh, this is-
amendment.
This is
This is
just a
zoning.
zoning amendment, and it's
Okay.
just to recognize the fact that we have in our existing bylaw a provision that says the planning board is looking at the wetlands regulation. And we're not. That's what the Conservation Commission does.
That's right.
So
Okay.
it's just that
So
short
that's
little,
just this
striking it out.
few sentences that we're tweaking.
Yeah.
It also, there's also a statement in number 3, section 3, in granting a permit for any of the foregoing, the Board of Selectmen shall be guided by the current state and federal laws and regulations. It doesn't go to the Board of Selectmen, it goes to the Conservation Commission.
Do we need to add that to this one?
No, that's why we're taking it out, because
Oh.
we
Take it out,
don't
'cause
want
it
to
doesn't
send
We're
it to the,
confusing it,
Yeah.
yeah.
don't want to send it to the Selectmen.
All right. So,
So it's just, do you want to take this wording and we'll move this wording into the legal ad, and then we'll hold public hearings on it?
Kathleen,
This would
have
be
you looked at
turned
this
into
language?
the
Yes.
selectmen for the January 2020 town meeting, and we have to have it in by October 11th.
Right. We don't have to have the public hearing by
No,
then.
we just
but
have to
we just have to turn in
This
the
form
language.
in.
This language,
Okay.
yeah. So really, this is, I think, straightforward.
Yep.
Yes.
Everybody agree? All right, so if we all are in agreement, then I'll take a motion for us to submit this to the select board for consideration for the January special town meeting, right? Right.
So
Or so moved?
So moved.
I'm
Second?
following you.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. So that
We have
one's a
one.
done. Yay.
One down.
All right, then, I'm just going to go down the list that we had from before. Others are not yet ready.
Associate member.
I just want to make, before, again, a reminder, Milton Village Overlay, meeting on September 23rd. I'd like that to be a joint meeting. Are folks able to make that?
Let me see.
What date is the?
September 23rd, this would be the, it's Master Plan Implementation Committee intention to pass this effort onto the planning board then. It's been widely advertised
Yep.
Yeah.
thus far.
So you want all of us there or some of us?
I
or
want a
what-
quorum. If we have a quorum, then we have to post it. So we just need to know if we're going to have a,
So that's a tough night for me. I can try to make it work.
okay,
I can do it.
okay. Bill, did you get confirmation that Milton Access TV can be there?
Not on the 23rd. I got confirmation from the room
But you,
at the COA.
okay,
Oh,
but
the
did you
council,
ask
yeah.
that if they could be there?
Yes.
But did they deny,
Oh, I
they can't do it?
didn't.
We don't know yet.
Right, I'm still dealing with Saturday.
All right, so the hope is that they can be there, so if you can't make it, you can watch it anyway,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna
but-
try.
I'm
Okay,
gonna try to make it.
all right,
I plan to be there.
all right, so let's post it, Bill, and,
It's the 23rd at 7.
At 7.
Council on Aging. It's Monday night.
At 7?
at
7
7.
at the COA.
Okay, got it.
The only reason it's hard is because we have so many meetings. So we have the traffic mitigation on the 19th.
Every night that week I'm out.
Yeah, it's
I'm at BCDC, I'm at BPDA, I'm
Part-
at our planning board.
We meet this
7
month.
o'clock?
Yeah.
I mean, the part of the timing of that was in the event that this board felt it was ready to move forward with
Yeah.
it, they would give adequate time. If this board doesn't think it's ready to move forward, the board can decide whenever, but at least it gives an opportunity, okay?
And I like I honestly like the joint meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I can be there, I will. It's just, Tricky.
The Master Plan Implementation Committee is ready to pass it on. Okay, so they're ready for this board to do some work on it.
Will we have anything beforehand?
That- yeah,
They
that's,
have a zoning proposal?
we have a meeting on Monday.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, so the idea was to bring it tonight, but the revisions were circulated and it wasn't clear that everyone was on the same page, so we're convening a meeting on Monday to go over the revised language. That'll get voted by our committee on Monday, and then we'll distribute it, and it'll be posted on the town website. So it'll be a week, just shy of a week in advance. Hopefully that's sufficient for everyone who wants to review. There will be diagrams and presentation at the meeting that won't be posted because they'll probably still be in the works next week following our meeting, and they're more explanatory. Some concept to what I've done for some of our zoning, which is to have a visual aid to help understand zoning language, which a lot of people find, including myself, to be obtuse. All right, so,
So just if we can post anything in advance, that's always helpful. And even, I just got some feedback that it would be even helpful, this list that we're going over for the zoning articles, the people at home don't have it, so they don't really know.
Okay.
Or even like in the meeting itself.
Sure.
So when we're having the public hearing on zoning, if we could have handouts or post anything prior to, so that the public can keep up with what we're talking about, because sometimes we get talking so fast. I'm hearing, we know what we're talking about,
Right.
and we're following along a list. But for the people at home, they're just jumping around and they don't.
so Bill, or Julia, can one of you update this list? I mean, I can scan this with my notes with the dates that we've talked about from our last meeting, because we have the document, we just can update it and post it. And just, it'll be a working document though,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it'll need to
call
be
it a working
updated.
document.
Um,
But then people can know, oh, I want to get in there and say something on this.
Okay,
Maybe we should label this potential future zoning articles for discussion or something.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
make it
folks
really
know
vague,
that
yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
working
really
document.
Some of
just-
these really are just kind of
Yeah,
discussion.
right.
Yeah,
We haven't gotten
exactly.
And we
anywhere.
may or may not decide to act on all of them.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want someone to see this and think that these are definitely happening.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, that's one of the, I guess, the reasons I definitely will put just whatever we can say to make sure it's a working
Right.
document.
Put a new section into the website that,
Working documents, okay. So,
Or even potential.
I don't know, we're just,
Working-
you know,
working
we're
doc-
just, yeah, but I don't, because we haven't decided whether they're potential or not.
That's true.
Right, so-
That's true.
right.
That's true.
then the only other one that we had for January was the planning board associate. And Denny, you circulated some language. Did everyone get a
Yes,
chance to
actually-
review the language?
Actually, after we were exhausted talking about this in our last meeting, Alex
Alex
sent me an
did.
email
I
at
know.
10 in the morning, and he had already written up everything that we said into a little paragraph.
I know, I just
So-
have some edits to it.
Oh, I was just
okay.
going to suggest
Yeah.
one too.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Let's hear 'em.
let's, Bill, do you happen to have it?
I read it, yeah. it was
Okay.
good.
Because if you have it, we can make the edits right now up here.
And it's a rolling term, but okay, carry on. All right, what do you think?
Sorry.
Lawyer to lawyer, here we go.
So on this, well, there's some random commas that I don't think need to be where they are.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, down in line 4, the associate member may sit on the board for the purposes of acting on a special permit application in the case of absence. Take out the comma in between application and in the case. Because you're just saying, permit application in the case of absence and ability to act or conflict of interest. Take out the other comma on the part of any member of the board.
You take out the, after interest, take
Yeah.
out the comma, got it.
And then, in such event, the chair of the board shall file a written designation, but it doesn't say who you file that with. So do you file that with the town clerk?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so designation.
So in such event, the chair of the board shall file a written designation for the shall file with the town clerk a written designation for the associate member to sit on deliberation of a particular special permit application. Not in consideration, but in deliberations.
In consideration and
Take out,
deliberation?
take
No.
out consideration and put in on deliberations
On
of a
deliberation.
particular special permit application. Then, the language is the appointment, we talked about that. We wanted to have it a supermajority, which is great, file with the town clerk. The sentence on any vacancy should go at the end of the paragraph.
Move that whole sentence down?
Yes, the whole sentence goes to the end, because you've got these special, the associate member's been appointed, the term is 3 years, commencing on the date, an associate may be reappointed, la, la, la. Then you would put in, any vacancy in the position shall be filled by a vote. So you should,
Okay, so
because
that
you have the associate member, they're there, you talk about how long they're there, la, 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 their term, boom. And then, if there's a vacancy, you would put that, so I would put it at the end.
Okay.
And then, April, you have one?
My only suggestion is, should we change the term? The term of an associate member shall be, I was going to say, up to 3 years, in case we can't find somebody that's willing to do it for 3 years.
Or you might not need them for 3
Right.
years.
Right.
So we might, I
So
mean, it
you
just
can-
provides flexibility depending on the
Say up to
circumstances.
3, does that mean you
That-
can decide?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I assume that would presume the discretion would be up to us.
Yeah.
Is that right?
yeah.
So that was my only,
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's fine with me.
Because as I said, you might not need
Right.
them for
right.
that time.
and someone may say, I'll do it for a year, but I
1 year,
refuse
yeah,
to
right.
commit.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I mean, if
3
you're gonna
years
do
seems
3,
like a
you
long
may as well
term.
run for office, but
Special permit consideration.
Well, and it's funny, remember we had talked about whether you really need them, and I had
Right.
this conversation with a friend of mine who's the chairman of a zoning board in another town.
Yeah.
And they had a situation where there were so many conflicts on a particular application
Oh, boy.
that no one, they had like one person left on the planning
Wow.
board
Wow.
they could hear.
wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that something?
Because there were too many
That applicant was
abutters.
Wow.
too
Butters.
popular.
They all live near
Yeah.
each other, apparently.
Yeah, well, small town.
Small
Yeah.
town. Can I take your changes?
They're all related to each
Yeah.
other.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
So I wanted to say thank you to Denny and
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
to Alex.
Thanks to
Alex, I know.
This
Well,
is amazing.
I was spent. I couldn't do it, but Alex.
Well, he's like, I got 5 minutes. Let me whip this up.
Oh, I know. He's probably
That's
writing
so
this.
nice.
I just
Yeah,
would have
I know.
copied it from some other.
Yeah, that was very gracious. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, very good. So,
You have to
I'll
vote.
make the changes and send them back to the board, but we'll
Okay.
turn that one into the.
okay, so we're going to have a motion.
Yep.
Yes.
Let Denny make
Denny, would you like to make the motion?
Sorry.
No. Can Kathleen do this one? 'Cause I-
Come on, let Richard do it. All right,
It's all you.
I vote to submit to the.
Move? Sorry.
Move to submit to the Board of Selectmen a proposed article to create an associate member position on the planning board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Okay, great. So we've got 2 articles.
Geez, we look like we're doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, we look
We
like
are.
we
And we
are doing
approved a
something.
renewal tonight. This is like
Now we have,
record-breaking
and thank you,
movement.
Kathleen, for
Yes.
working on the rules and regs.
We
We
You-
will have
you-
to have a public hearing on the rules
Thank
and
you.
regs.
Yes.
And the zoning
Um,
articles.
And the zoning articles, yes, but I kind of look at it like, if the select board doesn't accept them,
Then,
we
yeah.
kind of wait. Normally, the practice has been, it's not a requirement, because I've asked about this in the past. It's not a requirement to wait until the select board accepts the zoning articles for the warrant. But what we've been doing in practice is having the public hearing on the zoning articles after accepted by the select board.
I can
And
see that in a situation where they were complicated and there were sort of life-changing situations. I don't think either one of these fall
think
into
we
that
should
category.
go
I
and
would just
schedule
go
a
ahead and
public
get
hearing?
it done.
I
Okay.
mean, these aren't even due until October 11th.
Yeah.
We are really impressive.
But I would just, because I said, they're not, it's not like a huge
So let's
zoning.
just-
I
do you have a
agree.
se- I'm not
I
opposed
totally
to-
agree.
We could
Let's
have
do it.
public hearings on this and on the rules and regs changes at one
Same
of our
time.
upcoming meetings.
Yeah.
Before
But
the
let's do-
20.
yeah, let's do
before
it.
the-
To give people plenty of time.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to have it at our next meeting? 'Cause that doesn't give us enough time, 2 weeks.
Do we have anything on the
So
agenda?
we have to do it on the 10th then of
Oh.
October.
Which we're not sure we're having on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathleen's going to be late.
Well, we can have it because Rich
Oh, so we
can
have a
be
quorum.
here and
Okay.
Kathleen will be here a little late.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
can
let's do it.
So let's do the public hearing
Yeah.
for the 2 zoning articles and the rules and regs changes.
Yay.
We can still talk about these tonight, the rules and reg changes, if you want to explain them to us, Kathleen, but let's go ahead and do those public hearings.
Yeah, I mean, as I said,
Because
Yeah,
if,
that's smart. I agree.
it's actually smart too, because if we do Milton Village, it will take some time and it'll need some meetings, so.
and that, and that would be something that you would wait until like the selectmen approved it before you did the public hearings, because that's such a complicated sort of situation, but taking out something we're not supposed to be doing anyway, and.
And the associate's already been before
associate-
them.
yeah.
So,
I don't think it's,
And it's recommended by government study. I mean, that's pretty,
Yeah.
right.
it's been studied quite a bit.
yeah.
Okay, Kathleen, do
So
you
we're
want to
looking
run
at
us? through-
October 10th,
Yes.
the beginning of the meeting.
And then if we have
Yeah.
to discuss changes, we probably have a little time
Right,
Right.
Yes.
before it goes to print.
yeah, somebody,
So at our next meeting, we will hopefully have Judy Bear's proposal that we can approve. And hopefully, Bill, she'll have a draft schedule with that. No? A community engagement, like.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I mean, we're not looking for a whole thing to get us to an article for 40R. We're looking at the community engagement aspect of it so we can see where we go, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just piecing the others together too. On the 26th, I believe you may have a site plan approval that is coming. It was supposed to be here Monday. It's not here. 30/40 Adams Street. It's the Haysha building where Citizens Bank is, Milton Village. They want to do site plan approval. They're going to do an update on Citizens Bank, similar to what it looks like in East Milton and the East Milton branch. And then Hajar wants to redo the siding of the building, a couple of doors, windows, and there'll be a signage change also.
That requires site plan approval?
It has to go site plan
An
approval.
exterior change? Like just the exterior of the building?
They're redoing the entire inside of,
Yeah, they
they're
did
doing
that.
3/4 of the
Interior
bank.
requires a site plan approval?
Anything over 800 square
800
feet.
Oh, wow.
So they don't need a letter from the building commissioner, but the building commissioner sent them to me because they're doing more than 800 square feet of work inside Citizen Bank.
Okay.
It's the counter, 2 offices, one of the bigger public areas.
yeah, they did, did the other one in East Milton, take out, a lot more
Remember,
space.
Milton Marketplace was site plan approval. So,
Yeah, that's right.
Bent's was site plan approval. So, okay.
Just an FYI that it's
That's
coming.
it's likely to be on the 26th,
Site plan approval does not require
public hearing.
public notice, but historically, we take and we send it to the newspaper. It's in the newspaper for a week ahead of the meeting.
1 week rather than the 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, well, I still think, so that's fine.
Just an FYI that
Yeah.
that could be on your meeting on the 26th.
Okay.
The other piece of, the other thing that will be on that 26th is a discussion of condo conversion of larger homes with the Historic Commission Chair.
Great, okay,
So you may have another article
okay.
for October.
Well, then, that would be an
May.
issue. All right, we wouldn't have a public hearing for that then at the same time. Fine.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's fine.
No, we're not anywhere near an article for that. I think we wanted to get the sense of what the changes would be, what the impact would be, and whether or not we wanted to craft the changes in a way that the impact would be limited. And we needed to know
Yeah.
from the Historic Commission what what sort of houses, what kind of housing stock would be useful for a more generous condo conversion bylaw.
And
Have
what
they been able to-
properties are vulnerable?
They're actually crafting a database
All right, that's what
that
I
will
was gonna
have the age, size of the property, size of the building, the areas. They are putting that database together.
Great.
So
Okay.
we would, I'm wondering, is there a way for us to sort of punch in and say, oh, here's where all the 5-acre property, 5+ acre properties are in town?
We should be able to do
Yes.
that in GIS today.
We can do
Yeah.
that now.
We can do that, okay, in GIS.
And that would be good to have.
Okay.
But as I said, I think if we were, thinking about it as a way to allow the housing stock that makes Milton so attractive to stay in existence, not get torn down and replaced by 8 mega mansions or something,
Right.
would be a way to not to have 5 acres as the minimum lot size.
Remember the women's club?
Yeah.
You remember how that was torn
Right.
down and now you have a little subdivision there? A lot of people felt that would have been an attractive condo conversion instead of being torn down to have a little
Yeah.
subdivision, how many house subdivision put in there.
Houses on
Remember,
which you lose money for taxes. every
Except that the
time.
neighbors wanted
Yeah.
the single-family subdivision.
understood in that case, but that's just an opportunity, I'm just using it
You're
as
right.
an
That would've been a
example of a
perfect
historic structure
example of
that
it.
got torn down.
Right.
There were people who didn't want it torn down too, right? So that's the kind of scenario, because you lose the rectory of St. Elizabeth's, you lose the women's house. What happens if you lose the Husick?
Yeah.
It takes some of the history away and repeats it with the same kind of
Yeah.
houses, when you can get housing in some of these existing structures.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
the thinking,
Yeah, that's the
Right?
thinking.
and so we'll have that discussion on the 26th, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anything else, Bill?
I gave you in your packet an update from 333 Brush Hill Road. Dave Crispin gave you his update.
Yes.
So everything's been installed correctly and seems to be working. That's what this says.
Today that came in at 4:45 today.
Yeah.
And the trees we predicted would die, died.
Is that right? Is that in here too?
Stressed beech tree.
Both of them.
They're there.
And the earlier report said that the ones that we predicted beyond the swale, beyond the water system, they also died. So it was good that we got that in, that if they were dying in the spring, that they would be replaced by the developer. So it's on the developer. So those will be dealt with.
Oh, yeah, there's supplemental tree planting to take place.
Yeah, but I mean, this, if anybody needed a definition of what clear cut means,
Yeah, I know.
well, right here is the picture. It's worth 1,000 words.
That's so frustrating.
It is.
It's just horrible.
Bill, now that Wolcott Woods is going to be starting construction,
Yeah, we need to stay on the trees.
I know Jack Dolly is aware of the concerns and the special permit requirements, but maybe you can
See,
touch
that-
base with Joe.
When you see that picture of the beech tree beside it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you see what happened around it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then you
know-
look at it, and all the trees behind it are green on
Yeah.
top, and then you know that
Yeah.
that's been run over by a bobcat, I don't know how many times.
And the
And
roots
then,
are
and
probably cut
they,
into.
they gave a great talk, oh, we'll aerate it, we'll this, we'll that. But after 2-3 years
Yeah.
of damage like that, a big tree, it will take 5 years to show, and that's where we are. We're at around 5 years probably. So, yeah.
So we want to make sure it doesn't happen at Wolcott Woods, right?
Exactly. Or anywhere else.
Or anywhere else, but I mean, that's the one that we know is starting, so.
And we spent a lot of time on trees there.
Boy, did we.
Okay.
It's interesting to
so-
see they had Japanese knotweed.
Oh,
That
the
stuff was
knotweed was
amazing.
wild. Oh, did you see it?
I couldn't believe when we were up in Newfoundland and St. Pierre Miquelon. I mean, it's like eating houses. It's amazing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like a
and you can't get rid of
monster.
it.
It's really, it's like,
It's incredible.
yeah.
It's an invasive species.
Like
Yeah.
beyond invasive, like,
It's
you
so
know,
fast.
on the edge of like, you know,
Choking out
alien
everything.
plants. Yeah, oh yeah, they're amazing.
Brutal.
Into the building, you know.
Ew.
So, you know, one of the things, sorry,
Kids movie.
I come back to these kind of the plans and, you know, that I was on the board when this was approved. And I remember being concerned, as I am all the time, about how much topographic change there's going to be. And the fact that the location of these houses shifted, you know, therefore allowed and required more
Yeah.
topographic change, therefore more cutting is, you know, so that language that we did about any change over over 3 feet, I think it was, or 2 feet, I forgot what we settled on, that I'm hopeful that that's going to help this kind of, you know, one thing is to say about the trees, but the other
The
is to
runoff.
know that when the
Yeah.
more topographic change you do, the more you have to take down trees, because you're
Yeah.
cutting into the ground or you're putting soil on top of them. You're destroying their root system one way or another.
And it exacerbates the runoff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Butters,
The
yeah.
whole water system.
Have we heard anything from the abutters on this? Any new complaints or anything?
The latest complaint was 295 Birch Hill Road said that the fence was falling down.
But no
So
water.
No, so Joe asked David this afternoon at 5 o'clock to please go take a look at the fence.
Good.
Okay.
Great.
Well, this system is working, I'm
I
glad.
did see
Yeah.
some disrepair on that fence when I went on the last site walk.
Good. Well, hopefully they'll get on top of that. All
Um,
right.
All right, so, did you want to run through these quickly,
So
Kathleen? Or
just
not quickly, or
to sort of
however?
explain what I did is that we had this list, potential future planning board rules and regulations amendments that we went through the last time. And there were some, just the easy ones are the ones that I did, which were just updating, no longer requiring the submission of plans on linen. You know, number of copies. So we just stuck with the ones that we had agreed were, you know, outdated, like requiring fire handholds when nobody requires those anymore. I didn't, the fact that we required clay pipes, nobody's doing clay pipes anymore. Call boxes and handholds. And then on the utilities, I just updated our language because we didn't have anything in there about dark sky compliant.
Okay.
So it's relatively simple. We do have future ones that we want to talk about, but those are much more complicated, like design standards for the streets and right-of-ways and that sort of thing. So I didn't address those.
Right.
So just a slam dunk on the stuff that was
Right.
outdated.
Okay, can I make a change in number 1 and number 2
Yeah,
to change 5 to 6?
sure.
So it should be 6.1?
No, 6
No,
copies.
6 copies.
Oh,
Six
6
copies.
copies. Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
And
I
so-
keep one, who doesn't get it?
Yeah, and then on number 2, the same thing. On 5 paper copies, it should be 6,
Yeah.
and an electronics version. Okay.
Okay. And we can post this before the public hearing too, right, Bill?
Yep.
Thank you. And we'll try to have handouts if that's okay.
Yeah, and as I said, I just put in before we had all street lighting shall be designed I added a sentence to say with the then current International Dark Sky Association guidelines or to design standards deemed acceptable to the board. I just wanted to put in some sort of, independent reference to where dark sky came from.
I think that's great. That's really good for future boards, too.
Yep.
And that's it.
So do we need to vote on this?
No, because we're going to have our public hearing
Yeah.
first. But at least now people would know what we're
talking about.
addressing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome. So I believe that's all for tonight unless anybody has anything.
Should we schedule this for the 10th also?
Yes.
Yes,
Did we already say that? Sorry if we did.
yes.
Yes, I
Sorry.
did, but that's okay. All right, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Delighted to say
Okay.
yes.
Earliest.